listening to Time to Talk. Wow, where are you? Sounds echoey where you are.
I'm just in my kitchen.
All right, nice. How are you, Steve?
Very cavernous. I'm good. I'm good.
You're sitting in your cavernous kitchen.
In my cavernous kitchen, yes, I set it on fire 3 weeks ago. Actually, I had two fire engines here and 8 firemen. It was quite not quite the fantasy that I had of firemen coming to my home, but yeah.
So
But
what do you
it's
mean you
yes.
set your kitchen on fire? You really did?
Well, I genuinely did. Yeah, I talk about so the fireman chastised me. He said, "No good deed, is ever a good deed." Because I was in a store and I saw some cheap steak bits, and I thought, "Oh, I'll get those for my friend's dog."
Hold on a sec. Cheap what? Steak bits?
Steak, yeah, like meat.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so it was just chopped up, and I thought, "Oh, that'd be nice for my friend's dog." So I brought it home and I put on my range, my gas range to cook the meat, and it just exploded in my face, burnt my arm, and set
Oh
the kitchen
no.
on fire. I hadn't used it in, I'm sure, at least a year, so it probably needs serviced. Um,
Oh, you poor thing.
so
What
so
blew up?
you,
The stove top itself.
the stove itself, so the fire from the gas went right into the extractor fan, so it set it all on fire, and the complete roof of the kitchen and half the kitchen's completely burnt. So I need to
Jesus.
replace it at some point. So
So
yes,
what
so
did you do?
the,
Like, all right, let's just go through this. You're standing there. You've got this meat. It is a good deed, like you say.
yeah,
And then you've turned the thing on for the
mm,
first time in a year. It
in a
blows
long
up in your
time.
face. It must have
Hmm.
been a hell of an explosion. Did you get out of there pretty quick?
It was so. I mean, I was able to turn it off. I mean, I burnt my hand. I had like this massive blister on my hand for like 3 weeks. Um, and it was just a shock. And then, so I turned the gas off, and I was like, "Oh!" And then a few seconds later, I could just hear this crackle. And I looked up, and yeah, there was a fire within the extractor fan. So I called the
Oh
fire brigade.
no!
And it's lucky I did, because within 2 minutes, the kitchen was completely on fire. I thought I actually had lost the house. So I rescued my cat and my passports. Those were the things that I went for and got
Hang on a
outside.
second. Sorry, Steve, because I know you're a huge pop culture fan. You saved the
Uh-huh.
cat, not the Madonna collection.
No, the cat's the most important thing in my life. Shocker for people I know. But no,
Wow, you poor guy.
my,
Just
my
remind
poor
people
cat.
whereabouts are you at? You're in Scotland, Ireland.
No, I'm in Belfast, Northern Ireland.
Ah, Ireland. Yep, yep, yep.
Not too far from Scotland. You can see it across the water.
So you
Um,
actually called the fire brigade before it blew up, basically into a bigger fire.
as soon as I saw the fire, because I knew it was electrical, so I couldn't tackle it myself.
Mm.
It was one things I remember from training and my jobs. And no, literally, they were here within 2 minutes, and it's lucky because, I mean, literally, when they arrived, the ceiling was completely on fire.
Did they carry you out of the house like in The Bodyguard? Like, did they
Sadly not.
scoop you
Sadly
up?
not. They arrived. I waved them in, and they went in to tackle the fire. And I ran upstairs to my bedroom where the cat had gone to hide.
I bet they didn't like that. Fire brigade
And
don't want
I
you
got
running
no.
upstairs.
They were like, "Don't get out of the house." I was like, "No, it's my cat," and I didn't care. And she actually ran into my walk-in wardrobe, which is where I keep my passports. I was like, "Stephen, get your passports in," and I got out of the house.
She was
But yeah,
scared.
and she's still traumatized.
Is she
So
really? Yeah.
she's yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, she cried for 2 days.
She cried.
Yeah. I mean, and my cat, she's a lovely cat, but she doesn't like to be held, but she would not leave my arms. I mean, so we were standing outside,
Oh,
and the second fire truck came, and she just clung on to me, and I didn't even realize that I was shaking. It was the fireman who pointed out to me. He said, "You're shaking. We'll come back and we'll debrief you and everything." But yeah, she was just, it was so traumatic. It really was because the fire alarm was going off and the carbon monoxide detectors were bleeping. So
Mm,
there was a lot of noise. And so it must have been scary for her. But no, she does not leave me. I mean, she's literally by my side right now. She
wow.
wherever I go, she follows me.
What's her name?
Slippers.
Slippers. Poor
Yeah,
Slippers, because she probably
Slippers
usually
Foster.
lives. She probably lives a very quiet life normally, right?
Well, she does. She's just, basically everybody's, an inconvenience to her. And, yeah, it was, and I felt I could see it in her eyes. And, I felt more for her than I did for anything. I thought, I'm going to lose my home here, but I didn't care. I just had her. So, yeah, so that's why the kitchen probably feels a bit more cavernous because there isn't a lot in it at the moment.
Is it still
And,
scorched?
yeah, oh, the ceiling is completely black. So,
Wow. Oh, you poor guy. What about you?
yeah.
Like your cat's been crying for 3 days, but how are you? What did you mean by the fire brigade said they'd come back and debrief you? What are they, a social worker as well as a fire brigade? Are they?
Well, they wanted to talk through basically the source, what happened, what I can do to prevent fires and all the rest of it. So that was on the Wednesday, and they came the following Friday. So it was like 9 days later they came, and they
What,
were
didn't they give you a
fantastic.
lecture? Did they?
No, not at all. They were actually great because, I got a gold star from them because basically, because I don't keep anything plugged in if I'm not using it, so I'm pretty responsible.
I didn't even know that
And
was a thing. Are you saying that to prevent fires, you should not have things plugged in unless you need them on?
well, yeah, well, it's kind of a standard, thought, isn't it? But things like, I don't keep my televisions plugged in, I don't keep my kettle plugged in, all those things. The only things I have plugged in are my fridge, my freezer, and my broadband.
Wow.
Anything else, if I'm not using it, it's unplugged. And I've always been that way since I was a kid. So it's not like, I had some sort of epiphany.
I've
um,
never heard of that, Steve. I've never heard of that.
well, it's just more, it's risk aversion more than anything, and I don't think people need to do it because, TVs, everything is built electronically where, fires won't catch, but I still do it. Like I don't know if you use Apple products, but the plugs they wear so quickly. So
Yes.
again, I unplug them because I don't trust them.
If any cord frays and I see an
Yeah,
exposed wire, I toss it at
I get
that
rid of
point.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I've also got a window. Like my house is really stuffy, and and you can imagine Australia's hot, right? So when there's a cool breeze, which is usually in Australia means a storms are coming. So
Uh-huh.
I'll open up the windows at that point, but it's this fine line. You open up the windows to get the cool breeze in, but as soon as the
Hmm.
water starts, it comes right through this window and there is a
Mm,
power board that I just can't move underneath it. So
right.
I literally stand there sometimes letting all the cold air, and as soon as I feel a little bit of a sprinkle, going to shut the
Yeah.
window.
No, I feel you. I mean, I think I told you I used to work in Australia. So,
Whereabouts?
well, I was in Sydney. So it was on Kent Street and I worked on Sussex Street. So it was only a 10-minute walk to work. But I tell you, my back was wet by the time I made it to the office.
Absolutely, and you would have seen
Uh,
some cracker storms in the centre of Sydney too
oh
from time
yeah,
to time.
completely, completely.
Mm.
I miss it. I haven't been to. I was just messaging a mutual friend, because it's this time 8 years ago that the Rebel Heart Tour was in Australia and Melbourne.
Eight
So we were just
years.
reminiscing.
Wow. And because you were
That's the
here
last
for
time
that,
I was
weren't you?
there.
Mm. They were great shows, weren't they?
They were, I mean, Tears of a Clown obviously was a lifetime highlight for me. Um, but just everything. I mean, I only saw Auckland and Melbourne. I didn't go to Sydney or Brisbane because I had concerts back in the UK. So I was coming back for them, so I couldn't stay. Um,
Wow.
Seriously, I had Mariah Carey and Jason Donovan and Aha. So I was coming back, and then I was buying my home, the home that I'm in now. So,
Oh, come on,
um,
Steve. You can't tell me that you rushed the Australian leg of the Rebel Heart Tour to get back and see Jason Donovan. Give me a
and
break.
he was amazing. I met him too. It was his 10 Good Reasons tour. It was the entire album. So it was my childhood. And
I love that album.
um, it's such a great, I mean, he's such a fantastic artist.
Funnily enough, he can't sing it in the key that, and he
No,
talks
no,
openly about this. When he recorded it, he was very distressed at having to
yeah.
record it in that key. He can't and never has sung those songs in that key, right?
But he
So
was
when you go and see
wonderful.
10 Good Reasons, everything was in a lower register, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it was great fun. It was a lovely show. And then the next day we went
Did
to
he
see
do every track off it, did he? Sorry to interrupt.
all the 10 tracks. Yeah.
That's so
Um,
cool. That's so cool.
it was
I love
really
Change Your
cool.
Mind is one of my favorite songs.
It's such a good. I just love the album. It's like halcyon days for me. That entire
Mm.
10 Good Reasons, Enjoy Yourself, Kylie. 5 stars, greatest hits. Eurythmics, We Two Are One. 1989 was just the best year.
Wasn't 89 the best year
It's
for
my
music?
favorite year in music. It's my
I
favorite
think
year in
so.
music. Well, I mean, you've got
Forget the
Rhythm
Berlin
Nation.
Wall, right? Forget the Berlin Wall. 10 Good
Forget the
Reasons
Berlin
came out.
Wall. 10 Good Reasons. You've got A Night to Remember from Cindy, Like a Prayer, Rhythm
Enjoy Yourself.
Nation, Cuts Both Ways, Runaway Horses.
Was
All
Like a
these.
Prayer there as well, 89?
It was February, March 89. Yeah.
Yeah,
Donna
yeah.
Summers, Another Place in Time. So the Bangles,
Sunita.
everything. Well, Sinead, how can we forget Sinead's Wicked? I mean, come on. It's just like, you know, I could live in that year forever, forever. 5 star with every heartbeat. I mean, they weren't commercially successful then, but it's one of my favorite songs and videos by them.
What is it?
Just 5 star. Do you remember 5 star? They're a
Nope.
British group. No, okay.
I've heard of Every Heartbeat by Amy Gibson, I think it was.
Oh,
Is it the same
Amy
song?
Grant. Amy
Amy
Grant with every
Grant,
heartbeat.
sorry.
Yeah, that was 91. No, 5 star. Oh, they had some success in Australia, but I mean, they won Best British Group in '87 here in
Never
the
heard of them.
UK. I mean, oh, they were amazing. And Denise
Mm.
Pearson, the lead vocalist, she's still singing today. But yeah, so
Sonia. Sonia was 89 with
Sonia,
Can't.
Can't Forget You. Oh my goodness, yeah, that entire album, Listen to Your Heart. Yeah, I mean, '89 just, I mean, flatline me. That is my year. I think it's for a lot of people, it's their favorite year in music. '89 and '86 would be my favorites.
Oh, yeah. No, they were good times. And like you say, much more innocent, it feels like. It's probably not. It was probably because we were younger, but
We were
it felt,
young, yeah,
yeah, yeah. And music for me in 89 was an escape from all the problems of, school and
no question.
whatever else was going on.
No question. They were happy days, innocent days.
However, I've got to say, 89 was a pinnacle. I would agree with that.
Uh,
But I am sitting here basking, absolutely basking, still got goosebumps, still feel like AI has something to do with this. The
right?
Madonna and Kylie moment.
Oh, look, I can't get over it. I mean, I am, to say an emotional wreck, it's an understatement.
Yeah.
And my friend is in LA today to see the show. He landed yesterday, and I was in San Francisco last week, and I was just like to see Madonna, and I was just like, oh, if only I'd stalled it for another week.
So you went to North
Well,
America to watch the celebration tour,
yeah,
and
I
you've only
saw I
just got
saw it
back.
last week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, so originally, because the shows were meant to have been on my 50th birthday last October,
Hmm.
um, so it was a delayed celebration. Um, but and literally, as I'm sitting watching you, so I got my TV on silent, and Kylie has just come on my
What
TV. Her
now?
Ollie, yeah, her song with Ollie Alexander,
Second to midnight.
Second to Midnight. Yeah, so literally them and the What Do I Have to Do leopard coats.
Yes.
It's just. But watching that, because my friends sent me pictures. I was in bed. And they're like, oh, Kylie's in the audience. And then the next thing I was like, oh, Ali Wong is the dance hall bitch. And I was just
Yes.
like, well, I love Ali Wong. So, Kylie's just there as a fan, as, just a guest. So then minutes later, my phone started, it came alive. And my friends were going, look at this. And I thought this is AI. I thought this is completely, synthesized. It's not real. People have
Why
just.
did we both have the same reaction? Because my phone went ballistic. And this, a friend of the show, I'm really sorry, mate, if you're listening, I can't remember your name, but he texts me and keeps me right on, he's got his finger on the pulse.
Uh
And he
huh.
texts me and goes, Kylie's on stage with Madonna. And you would know as well as me, Steve, we've heard that every night of the
Yeah.
celebration. It's going to be Kylie tonight. It's going to be, and it's like, yeah,
Well.
yeah, yeah, whatever. But when I got the first picture, it was the hug. And
Mm-hmm.
I know Kylie
Mm-hmm.
unbelievably like the back of my hand, better than the back of my hand.
I
And I went,
reckon.
no, that's not Kylie's hair because Madonna was sort of squashing the hair a bit, so it looked a
Yeah.
bit
Yeah. Yeah.
different. The pants, that's not a real typical Kylie style on
Mm-hmm.
stage, at least.
Right.
And I just instantly went, it's just an AI. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a bad one at that. That's how arrogant I was. It's a bad
Mm-hmm.
one. But like, I think what was going on there for you and me was also just that this was unbelievable. Can't believe it.
Denial. It was like this because it was too good to be true,
Yeah.
and that that was my complete. I don't know if you want to call it denial or whatever. It was this cannot be happening, and I don't know if you remember. So back in 2016, Kylie was in Melbourne when Madonna was there, and she posted a
Yes.
picture of her with Guy Oseary. So
Yes.
everybody was, they were like, she's going to be the unapologetic bitch in Melbourne. I can't even remember who the unapologetic bitches were in Melbourne, actually, now that I think about it.
There was a
But
drag queen for for the one that I was at in
yeah.
Sydney. But that image that Madonna tweeted herself of
Mm.
Kylie and Madonna, that was a
Oh,
Photoshop. It was
that's like
Madonna
my
teasing
favorite
it.
picture ever.
Isn't it great?
I mean,
Yeah.
I actually welled up because I was like, this cannot be real. And you know, my defense mechanism is irony and being sardonic. And I was like, oh, keep your enemies close, but keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Because Madonna was hugging her so hard. But I was just like, there is so much love in that picture, you can't even describe it.
Hmm.
And I think for Madonna, that was a bigger deal than she'll admit publicly. I mean, you could tell that she loved Kylie. I mean, you can't not love Kylie. I mean, I think it's just a golden rule now. It's like Keanu Reeves. You cannot love Kylie,
She's
and
just so joyous. Like there is nothing to dislike.
complete
Although I
complete
refer
joy.
everyone I do refer everyone back to our podcast where Sunny talks about Kylie's failings. Like it's quite a controversial episode. But Steve, I got so much flack for the last podcast. I mean, lots of positivity too, but lots of
Hmm.
flack for the podcast that went up only yesterday or a couple of days ago about the Madonna
Right?
Kylie because I could barely speak. And people were like, why on earth are you? And that's not like me. It's not my personality, but I could barely speak. That's how, as I was recording, it was only a few hours after it had happened, and I was in shock. And I'm still. I just
Mm-hmm.
look. Here was the thing for me, Steve. I know them both so well. I know. I
Yeah,
feel like I know their
I know you do.
personalities so well,
Hmm.
more than just the celebrity. I feel like I get where they both are at this stage in their life. And why do I know that? Because I'm looking to them both as role models. And I just couldn't imagine how Madonna's style and Kylie's style would sync. I didn't even know if they would sync. But when I saw the protectiveness that Kylie had towards Madonna, the
Hmm.
confidence, it was Kylie's confidence, it was Madonna's generosity, it was that the fact that all of Madonna's guards
We're
fell,
let
that
down.
narcissism, that bow
Hmm.
down to me, that sort of pretend veneer that she has around to protect herself, all dropped when Kylie walked up on stage. And that's what Kylie does to people. And conversely, Kylie absorbed the strength that Madonna had up there
Madonna
as well.
gave. I
It was
couldn't agree
just,
more.
I'm just so blown away. And still, as I talk, I'm still goosebumped.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that both reached a point in their career. Obviously, I mean, Kylie sold herself to America right now. And I'm very sarcastic about it because, the rest of the world is forgotten. I think that it has done something to her, her confidence and her legacy. There was no, whereas with Rebel Heart, if she'd been the unapologetic bitch, she would have been, the subject. Whereas now, being on stage with Madonna, she was an equal
An
and
equal.
an equal. And, you know, those backstage photos, I was like, I was seeing the pictures of Pamela Anderson and all these other artists. Where are those pictures? So when that picture appeared backstage before, it's just like, just the connection, the body contact, whatever way you want to describe it, it's just perfect.
For those
And
people who don't know you, Steve, Steve knows celebrities so well. He's met them, he's been in their presence, he's studied them every bit as much as I have and that you have. So coming from you, Steve, that you saw what I saw, that this was not a publicity stunt. This
no,
wasn't some moment where two celebrities go, oh, this will get my views up on Instagram. This was the most authentic, cosmic connection that I have ever seen
I
in
think
pop culture
we
this
were so
century.
privileged to see that. It's like, here is a real view of who we are as people. I think it's the most human. I've seen
Human.
both Kylie and Madonna, and
Mm.
I can't remember. I really can't remember. And it just is a fantastic moment, and I'm glad to have lived to have seen it. You know,
And
it's
that was another reason why I was emotional when I did the
mm,
podcast, because I've had moments a bit like your fire, I suppose, but medically where I might not have made it here. And
mhm,
I have actually been dreaming of that moment and
yeah.
started to lose hope. But when tension blew up, I thought if it's ever going to happen,
Mhm.
now it's going to happen now.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and a lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners. Amateurs, is this the best that they could do?
We've got to talk, Steve, about Kylie in America. When this Vegas thing started to leak out and the
Yeah.
nuclear amount of money she was going to get for it, I was like, okay, Kylie's going to go over there like she has many times throughout her career, and she's going to dip her toe in the water and just keep it warm. And people are comparing it to the Fever era. It's nothing like the Fever era.
No.
She is in the Fever era. She went over there and she had this spike and she promoted it. And
Well,
I
she had a
thought,
#3 album.
that's right? But she went over there, but she was still on loan. Okay,
Yep.
she was still on loan. We knew she was just over there to ride the wave. She is now American celebrity royalty. She's a bona fide
Oh, no
American star
question.
now, and it's not going to fade. People don't
No.
realize this. What she's done over there with Vegas, all the talk shows,
All the
and the
talk
people she's
shows, yeah.
met. She's not. This isn't a phase, is what I'm trying to say. She is now an American star, and I'm actually struggling with that a little bit. I'm struggling with it.
As am I. As am I.
Yeah.
So I'll be really honest with you. So my great friend Gemma, her and I, we are so honest about this. It's like Kylie sold out. She's
Mm.
30, 35 years too late for this. She's doing it. And you know what? I'm delighted for her, but it's too late. But if it gets it out of her system, and in a couple of years she'll come back and she'll be
She's not
global
coming back,
again.
Steve. She'll like.
Well,
All right, let me not be so gloomy. She'll come back to a degree, but she will
yeah.
always now be an American
She'll always be
star.
American. Yeah.
She will always be in Vegas. She will always have
Well,
a residency there. I said that when she started. I said once the Americans go and see this show, and
that's it. Yeah.
and don't
Well,
forget this
it's
is a business
the
proposition. It's
lure of
not a.
the dollar. Yeah.
That's it. And as soon as she starts popping the money, and my God, she might only hold 1,500 in that theater, but my
But it's a
God, the
lot of
prices.
money.
Jesus Christ, she must be. Oh. But
Well, I have more
and by the
friends from
way,
Australia who have seen it than from any other country.
what was that? Sorry.
I have more friends from Australia who have seen that show than from any other country.
Yes,
So
and
she's drawing people to Vegas.
it's unbelievable what she's
Yeah.
doing, and it's very
Mm.
valuable to Vegas because they've updated, they've
Unquestionably.
got the Sphere and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But the other thing, and I like to consider myself a Kylie expert. I don't consider
I think
myself
you
expert in
are.
many things, but I know
I think
Kylie. And
you kind of know her.
but here, let's just talk financials for a moment, which is a bit
Oh,
crass. Kylie's made some unbelievable money in her time, but
yeah,
she
but
would
this is just something
never,
else.
ever, ever have been making money on this stratosphere.
No,
Like,
not on
can
tour.
you believe
No,
it, Steve? 35 years. She's like in her
she's
50s,
more
and
pocketable than ever.
she's making like at least 10 times more money than she's ever made, even at the peak of her career, I would say, because she's got, don't forget, this is not about only the success of tension and padam padam. This is, there's all kinds of advertising ratings, like how
Yeah.
reliable and trustworthy is an individual to sell a product. Kylie is looked at, and rightly so, as a very trustworthy,
She never
ethical,
cancels.
reliable, professional. She could sell
Mhm.
nearly any product. So,
No
my God, I
question.
mean, I've never would have dreamt that she would cement herself in the United States. I really didn't think she ever would or cared to, but she
Hmm.
has. She's done it.
Well, I saw the 2009 tour in New York. I saw the three shows, and I saw Aphrodite. She did three shows in New York. I saw
Semi
the three
Aphrodite.
shows there. Well, Semi Aphrodite, it wasn't the splash, but actually, I found it more enjoyable, if you can
Okay.
believe that. But and Joan Collins was in the room one night as well. I still remember in New York. But the love the Americans showed Kylie, it's just like you can't bottle this. You cannot.
Yeah.
There was something about it. I thought this has got longevity here, and here we are now. I haven't. I did try to get tickets when they came on sale, and then I lost my verve and my enthusiasm. But my friend was there a few weeks ago, and she bought me the signed lithograph and
Oh,
the
that's
cards
nice.
and all, which was really really lovely. But I think it's ending after May, and I'm over to see Janet in June and July in America, and I thought, well, could I tag a weekend on? So, but I believe Jason Derulo's going into the Voltaire after that.
Mm.
But if she was going to be around, I would try to find a way to go and see it,
She
just
won't
to
be
say
there
I've seen
then.
it.
It won't sync up for you, but you'll
No,
see her in Vegas at some stage. If
I'll
you
see
want to
her in
know,
Hyde Park.
are you going there? Are you? Yeah.
Well, the day I land back from seeing Janet in America, in New York, she's playing at Hyde Park in London. So I'll just stay in London for the night and see it.
Oh, gee whiz, you are a very lucky man.
Well,
But
it's just worked out well.
you haven't lost your Vegas chance, because this is what will happen. She's going to wrap it all up in May
Uh-huh.
for this, if you call it a leg or this session.
Hmm.
Then she's going to, around that time, we're going to see this newly repackaged tension. And I, going out on a limb, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to say there will be a Madonna collaboration on that updated version. And then
Well, wouldn't that be
going to do,
something?
oh, amazing, and we'll come back to that. But then
Mm.
on the back of that, I think she's even realised that she needs to pay attention to all her fan markets. So I think we'll
Her
finally see
proper,
her back
yeah.
in Australia. We haven't seen her in Australia since 2018.
I know
Well, besides
it's,
World Pride.
and that's the thing, because she's saying like Australia's my home now, like even London isn't her home, but she's not been there.
Oh, that was such a storm in a teacup. If
I know,
people,
wasn't it?
for the people listening, Steve's referring to the announcement that she had nothing to do with, that she was moving from the UK to Australia.
Yeah,
Even she said, yeah, technically, because, parents getting older, the relationship, I think, was probably in a bit of strife at that
that's
point
right.
too. And she was moving back. But, she's a global citizen.
She is. She's a citizen of the world. I couldn't agree more. And do you know
Yeah.
what? I met
Yeah.
her parents actually in Dallas on the Aphrodite tour. They were in the audience, and I spoke to them. And just when you mentioned, about her parents getting older, they could not have been lovelier. And
Well, they're beautiful
I,
people.
I didn't, I didn't want to be that fan, but I was just like, oh, I'm actually here with work, but I've seen Aphrodite 8, 9 times. It's lovely to be here. And they were wearing shell suits. So they were like, the archetypal, older parents, but they could not have been nicer. They
They
were
didn't
so
mind you
lovely.
talking to them?
Not at all. And Kylie's security guard is a Scottish guy, and he knew who I was, and he's just like, "Oh, he's okay. He's fine." I was like, "Oh, thanks for that vouch." But
I love that story because I'm imagining Ron and Carol. And by the way, I hate even saying that. There's another podcast that talks about Kylie, and it's so creepy how much and the way they talk about Kylie's parents. So I almost refuse to do it on this show. But your story just then sort of conjured up this image that they were quite alarmed with big wide eyes until the security guard went, "No,
well,
he's okay.
yeah,
He's okay."
it was more or less that because I was just like, "Are you're Ron and Carol, aren't you?" Because they were very unassuming and they had blackberries.
They
It's
had
kind of
blackberries?
it's yeah, but this was 2011, so
Oh, right. Yep, yep.
this, it's kind of it was just that standout moment. Blackberries and shell suits. You're Kylie's parents. Seriously. And that was my inner monologue. Obviously, I didn't say that to them, but they were exceptionally lovely, so friendly. And I'm sure they were probably thinking, oh, he's trying to find a way to get to meet Kylie, blah, 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 which I wasn't because obviously I'd met her quite a lot and it wasn't even in my thought process. But when I look back on it now, I'm thinking, well, they were probably thinking that.
No,
But it
I
was their
reckon they'd be
security
so used
guy.
to it. They'd be so used to it. Because
Well,
in
yes,
Australia, they're a
because
little bit recognisable over here
hmm
because
I'm
on Young
sure.
Talent Time, they weren't, not every week, but it was a common weekly show and they were put up
Well,
on the
yeah,
screen.
because you've her and Danny and Tina Arena. So,
Yeah, they'd show
you,
the
you had
parents
the
and the family.
Rolodex of celebs. I love Tina
Yes.
Arena, by the way. Can I just say that
Oh,
publicly?
my God, that
I was
lady,
meant to have
Tina
seen her in
Arena.
November and she cancelled in Paris and London. I had front row for both shows.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Anyway,
she's a straight
uh,
talker, though. I tell you, it's
I
it's.
love her.
It reminds me a bit of Adele. I know this is going to sound awful. I love Adele. I love Tina Arena.
She's
So don't
hysterical.
shoot me. But when these people sing, you feel like you're up in heaven in clouds and
Oh,
this
my
is
goodness.
otherworldly. But then when they talk, like
Yeah.
Adele,
They're
you
like a
feel like you're
Nazi.
talking
Yeah.
to some woman with a cigarette hanging out of her mouth. Oh, what are you
Mm.
doing then? Get out there. Yeah, yeah. And it's the
Well,
same with
that's
Tina Arena
completely
to a lesser
it.
extent.
Yes,
Mm, mm.
completely,
It's
completely.
like how do
Um,
you talk like that and sing like that? It makes no sense. It's quite a
mm,
shock.
yeah, well, we have this shop over here called Greg's, which is like it sells like basic pastries and pasties, what we call them,
Yeah.
simple pies and sandwiches, and it's kind of like equated with very working class people, and that's what people describe Adele when she talks. That's her. But then when she sings, she's a complete firebird. She's an angel, and it's the
Where's
same
she
with
from?
Tina. Adele's from London. She's
She
Cockney, I
definitely grew
think.
up in the rough side of town, didn't she? She
She
had to have.
did, but she's just phenomenal. But I feel the same about Tina.
Same. Yep.
But her latest album, Love Saves, is just wonderful, and she does a French song called "Danser sur la glace," which is it's one of my most played songs on Instagram. I'm just like, you sing like that, but then I hear you talk like that. But to go
Not
back
to the
to
degree of Adele though. Like there's this
no,
really
no,
funny
no, no,
clip
no,
of
no. Tina's
Adele.
a bit more articulate.
A little, yes, and they're both highly intelligent people. Don't get me wrong, but
Oh,
there's this clip of Adele where security
yeah.
are hassling one of her fans, and she's singing
Isn't
this
that right?
beautiful song. She's going
Yeah.
rolling in the deep, let's say, whatever it is. She goes rolling in the, and she's angelic, and then she goes, "Get your hands off him! Get your hands off him! Get away! Get away!" It's like,
She was protecting her gaze. She really was. She
oh,
was just like,
jeez,
"Do not touch my gaze." And Tina's
oh.
the same. But I am so gutted that unfortunately, because she fell amok, she only did a couple of nights in Australia, that barracks and stuff. Um, but the latest album, Love Saves, is exceptional. 11's my favorite. She's got a song on it called Heaven, and if I ever get married, that is my wedding song.
Oh.
Seriously, I've got three wedding songs, and that's one of them. She's just Tina is just amazing, and it kills me that she is not more celebrated worldwide because
Well,
she
she's
is
she's
phenomenal.
she's a killer in France, though. Like she's huge over there, and I've got to
Yes,
say, when she sings in French,
it's
I just
phenomenal.
want to take. You've got to be careful
Oh,
because even if I don't know you, I'll take you by the hand. And I'll lead you to my bedroom. It's so erotic when she sings
isn't
in
it?
French.
Jusqu'à l'impossible. I remember because She performed in 2016. It was Australia Day, and it was in London. And I don't think she was happy to be performing. She looked at it like she was in a
She
really
can be a
bad
bit
mood.
crabby. Oh yeah,
She
yeah.
was a bit crabby, and she had the hands. She was wearing like this. I don't know, this jumpsuit, and she had the hands in the pockets. She was not happy to be there, and we met her after, and she was lovely. But I had French fans beside me, and every French song that she sang, oh my goodness, they committed. They were just in love, and I love her French music. You know, Aimé jusqu'à la Possible and all that stuff. Superb, but they were another level committed. And I was just like, I wish that I had, experienced her popularity back when she was popular in France.
Well, and the thing is, she exploded in Australia with that "Don't Ask," I think it was.
Mm,
I've seen her in
yep.
Newcastle, Australia, and I went to this beautiful civic theatre and was sat in front of a huge pillar. And I thought, how would they put a chair here? So I'm just going to admit this, and I'm going to get hate mail for this. I was with my son, who was very young at the time. I'd say he probably was maybe 13, 14. So I hatched a plan, Steve. I got up from my seat. I found an usher. Beautiful atmosphere too. She sets in a beautiful theatre like that too. Not
Hmm.
like a rock concert. It was like
Yep.
classy. And I went up to one of the ushers who were dressed, in their beautiful little tailored clothes, and I went, "My son over there, he's autistic, and he's like absolutely beside himself. He's going to cause a ruckus when this show starts, and I just want to cut that off at the knees. What can we do? Where can we sit where we're not in anybody's way? And so that no matter how he acts or rocks and all that." Terrible, isn't it? Bad parenting. And they were so delightful.
I
They moved
understand
us to
nothing.
these. Well, I was not going to sit and watch a Tina Arena show that I'd waited
Well,
months for behind a pillar, a marble pillar. So they moved us to a fantastic spot. So thanks, Megs, if you're listening. You really helped me that night, and I loved
well,
the thumb in the mouth. That was just classy. Well done.
can I tell you my tennis story before we talk about Kylie again?
Yeah.
So that Australia Day concert, so that was in February or January 2016. So the weekend that I was arriving in Australia before I saw Madonna in Auckland, Tina was performing and she was sold out. So I happened to mention to Tina, I said, "Look, I'm going to be in Sydney when you're there, but unfortunately you're all sold out." Without missing a beat, she turned to Grant, who was her manager. I don't think he's still her manager. And she went, "Grant, can you sort him with tickets?" And between that happening and me getting into my taxi to go back to where I was staying, I had tickets for Tina in Sydney.
You're unbelievable. That's
Isn't,
worse than my story.
but is that not just like the most gracious
Yes.
act?
Yes.
I was just like, oh my goodness. And it's just the way she went, Grant. It was like, she means business, but it was so lovely. And I wasn't even saying it to work her. I was just like, I'm going to be in Sydney for Madonna. And it's such a shame. And she just picked up on it. And I didn't even pay for the ticket. I was like, I'll pay for it. And so I was her guest. It was just the loveliest experience. Now, I didn't get to meet her, and I have friends who met her at that, but just the fact that I was on her guest list was priceless.
For people listening, go back and listen to Steve's first podcast with us. A lot of people
Mm.
won't know, Steve, because we've just got straight into it, that you actually have had a remarkable life with celebrities, and you spoke so beautifully the last time we spoke about
Oh, you're
how
very kind.
it was just it was lovely. I only re-listened to it recently for a different reason.
I haven't
And
listened to it.
oh, is that because you don't like to listen to yourself?
No, I don't.
Oh, mate, you should. Anyway, it was a great conversation. Point
It
being, though, for
was.
people
I
who don't
enjoyed
know,
it.
Steve travels the world and has become quite close with some celebrities, and at the very least has met so many of them multiple times. Close with Gloria Estefan, you're friends with, basically, right?
Well, I turned 50 last year and I got a lovely card and bottle of champagne from her.
But
So,
you can tell
yeah,
from the photos that this is not a fan and a celebrity.
yeah,
She has a lot of
she's,
respect for you. But my
she's
question to
marvelous.
you that I really, really have been dying to ask you is, It
You can ask me
seems to
anything.
come. It seems to come naturally to you, like that Tina story you just said, right?
Hmm.
Like I haven't got close to any celebrity. I'm physically close. I'm talking about
Hmm.
because I wouldn't know where to start. So how do you even get to have the conversation with Tina to say, "Hey, I'm going to be in Australia. Couldn't get tickets. Wink, wink." I know you didn't do that, but
No, I didn't do that, but it
I
kind
know.
of. I think if you were an outsider looking at it, you probably would have thought wink, wink. So I can laugh at
But
it.
how do you get close to these people? Like, how do you actually do it? Because, Janet recognizes you on site.
Yeah.
You've
Oh.
met her many times. I've stood outside venues waiting for celebrities just to drive by and haven't even had success with
Mm,
that. I think I saw Kylie drive by once, but I can't be sure if it was her. She was wearing
yeah.
that Boy George hat after Showgirl Homecoming.
Wow. Yeah.
But she was
That's
behind black
something.
glass, so I'm convinced that I saw her whiz past, and I like to think she blew me a kiss. But in
Mm.
reality, I haven't got close. How do you manage to get so close, so often, so frequently to so many amazing people? How do you do it?
It's a combination of reasons, and because we haven't talked since I met Janet last year, and so that's a completely that's just another conversation. Um, but I just talk to them like they're people. Like,
But
I
that's once
don't.
you get to them, Steve. How do you
Uh,
get to them to talk? I reckon that they'd like me if they spoke to me. But either way,
I
I'm,
have
I'm
no
fully aware that
doubts.
Kylie's camp doesn't like me. I've been reliably told that they
Really?
listen. Oh, they
Oh my
apparently
goodness! That.
apparently they've heard the podcast and think I'm a bit of a jerk and I've been black banned, which is a shame because I spoke
Oh,
to the lovely Steve Anderson and I've spoken to other people
Steve's
who've worked with Kylie.
phenomenal. He's
Isn't he
lovely.
such a beautiful person? Actually, like
He is. I actually think we could be. Yeah, I mean, my so actually a good friend of mine works with Steve,
yeah, yeah.
and just tells me these stories about him, and he's just like the most wonderful guy you could
Mm.
hope to meet. It's a combination of things, I do things like regular fans, I do meet and greets, but sometimes I'll wait at the studio or whatever. Not like a stalker. I'll kind of be. I try to be as normal as I can, and just talk. And if it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
But how do you know where to
Uh,
wait? You say, I'm sorry I don't, maybe you don't want to give away your secrets, but you say
no,
you
no,
wait
there's no
outside a studio,
secrets.
right? How do
There's
you
no
even know
secrets.
what building to stand? Like if I go to Melbourne when I know Kylie's in Melbourne,
Hmm.
I don't know where to go. I don't know where a car's going to pull up. How come so many people, when I watch the footage, seem to know where she's about to pull up and what hotel she's in? Like, how
I
does
think
this happen?
that's a great question. It's kind of like you hear through the grapevine, oh, such and such, such and such. There's no. I don't think there's a particular recipe to, or a known thing, because artists will change where they stay all the time.
Mm.
So it's kind of like knowing people who know. Um, but equally, I don't go out of my way to find out, because I don't want to be that person who stalks. But if I happen to know that she's in such a place, or if an artist is going to be somewhere, then maybe I'll go if I can.
Mm.
But I'm not going to put myself out either, if that makes
Well,
sense.
yeah, I reckon there must be secret little Reddit groups that I'm not part of or something. I never know where these
There
celebrities are.
probably
I've probably walked past them.
are.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, there probably are.
Hi, this isn't Kylie Minogue, and I love listening to Time to Talk.
It just comes with, I think, time and experience. But for example, in Pink's world, I'm persona non grata because I'm not a lesbian, and so they don't like me.
Hang on a second. For Pink fans, you have to be a lesbian to be on in the
More,
clique.
more or less, yeah. They kind of like look after themselves,
I
and
didn't know that.
that sounds
I
like a
didn't
very
know. I didn't know that
disturbed and
Pink had a les.
angry.
Does
Oh,
Pink have a well known like lesbian fan base? Does she
oh, completely. Oh,
really?
yes.
But
Oh,
Pink's not a
yeah.
lesbian, is she?
No, but she just has that credit. It's a bit like Kate Bush and Tori Amos.
Hmm.
Fleetwood Mac, you attract a certain type of audience, and Pink has that. And
I had
you
no
know,
clue.
well, yeah, exactly. And do you know what's really annoying me? Taylor Swift was in Australia. She stole all Pink's attention there recently, whereas
Oh,
Pink's
yes.
playing stadiums too, and nobody, the media weren't even giving her the slightest bit of attention. Like, she is one of the greatest artists of our time. As
Now,
much as I
come
like
on.
Taylor Swift,
I'm going to correct you a bit on that. Pink absolutely set the media on fire here.
did
Admittedly,
she?
Taylor, well, all right. For those of you who don't know, who've been living under a rock, there is the best story ever when Pink came to town. Oh, when Pink came to Australia, I should say. We're not that
Really? Did you
provincial people.
see her?
No, but here,
Oh,
listen to this, right? She
okay.
comes and she does the reason Pink is so well loved in Australia because she's so much like us. Like, she's barefooted, she does normal
Yeah,
things,
she's
she
normal.
doesn't act like a celebrity. Australia, for those of you who don't know, is her second home, and she says it
Hmm.
openly.
Oh,
She
completely.
holds all the records for the stadiums, all of that sort of stuff. She is a adopted daughter of Australia.
Yep.
But get this, right? She goes with her family on, like, her little entourage to
Hmm.
Manly, which is a
Yep.
beautiful place on the harbour in Sydney Harbour. She goes up to a hotel, like a pub, and in Australia, I don't know if it's the same across the world. I assume it is. You can't really go anywhere anymore without showing your ID and signing some stupid bloody little
Correct.
ticket, or swiping your ID these days. They put it in
Hmm.
a little
Hmm.
scanning machine. Pink goes in to a place in Manly, and they go, just like all of us ordinary folk, "Where's your ID, love?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't have my ID." Now,
Cracker.
if this was Madonna, if this was, who else is a big Taylor Swift,
Celine Dion,
Celine,
Adele, they'd be
that
like, don't you know who I am?
exactly. But what did Pink do? She goes, "No, no, 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 it's okay. No, no." In fact, in Australia, we have an expression, "Yeah, nah." She probably even did that, I'd say. But basically, they were really polite and went, "Is there anything we can do?" And they just turned around and left without a fuss. But it has become like such an amusing
Ugh,
story that Australia is so embarrassed that it wouldn't let into this.
Pink.
It was a nice
Then
place, but it's nothing plush. It was not the Ritz. We're talking just a normal seaside pub. Wouldn't let Pink in. How good is that?
that it's very Kath and Kim. That's hysterical. That is completely brilliant, and I love her for it because she's so humble. I mean,
She was already
her
so loved, Steve, but that story, the fact that she didn't want, they interviewed everyone. The media got in there and interviewed every staff member or
well,
patron who was there, and not one of them said that she mentioned her name or that
yeah.
famous phrase, "Don't you know
Well,
who I am?" She did
I
not.
think that's just remarkable, and
Mm, mm.
I'm in her documentary. All I know so far. So,
Really?
yeah, there's a bit where she's signing some autographs at a hotel, and I'm one of the people. I've never met Pink, but she's given me her drumsticks. I've got a video of her talking to me because I gave her a T-shirt in Manchester, which she loved, but
Yeah.
I've never met her. There are three acts I've not met, and I dream of meeting, and one of them is Pink.
Okay, so who's on this hit list? You've got people.
Oh,
By the way, there's not many celebrities you haven't met. By the way,
well,
anyway, I'm not. I'm
I've
not
been
bitter
very
about that at all.
fortunate. I've been very fortunate, but there's Pink, there's Kate Bush, and there's ABBA. But I'm never going to meet.
Ooh.
I'm never going to
You're
meet
never
Kate
going to
Bush
meet
or
Kate
ABBA.
Bush, no, because
No,
she's doing the Howard Hughes,
no.
and she's drinking her own urine in a. She doesn't
She's
come out.
just. But so the night my mother passed, she opened her shows in London, and the following week, my mum had bought me tickets to see her, and so I went to see her the following week, and they were the most healing shows. I mean, I have loved Kate since the first single I ever bought was Kate Bush. Um, but she's been with me and my parents. She's kind of like the soundtrack to my life with my parents. So to meet her would be something else, but it's never going to happen.
I'm sorry to hear your mother passed, Steve. That's
Well, thank you. It was the night that Kate opened her show, so it was almost 10 years ago. Um,
and your mum bought you
and
the tickets.
Mum bought me the tickets. So she fell ill. It was this week, 10 years ago, that Mum fell ill, and it was this week that the tickets went on sale. And so my mum knew, and she was like, she gave me a certain amount of money, and she was like, get tickets for Kate Bush, and it was just like the way that life conspired and timed, and going to see her, it was something else. Yeah, it was wild. And my parents saw ABBA. They saw their last ever European show in Dublin in 1979. But ABBA are my favorite group of all time. So to meet them would be something else, but it's never going to happen.
Well, you might be able to meet their holograms.
Yes, well,
Shake hands with a hologram.
the show's phenomenal.
Have you seen
The
it?
sh- yeah, I saw it last.
Is it called Voyager or something?
It's called Voyage. Yes, so I saw it
Oh,
last
Voyage.
June, the night before I saw Pink, actually in Hyde Park. I was meant to have gone to the opening night, but unfortunately, I was unwell.
Is it true that you go in and literally you're not watching the real ABBA, you're watching holograms?
It's holograms. So
That can't be
essentially,
phenomenal, can it?
it is. Believe me,
Really?
because it's their body movement. So they did it all on camera, but then it's over projected with these avatars, or these avatars as they call them. So it is their body movements, but it's like younger versions of them.
Oh, really?
And it's wonderful. But then the very last scene is from the first night of the show where they came on stage to thank everybody. So they all come on, and it's, to me, it's very emotional. It's very, very emotional.
How good is the technology?
To
Does it
watch that.
really feel like they're
It
there?
feels like they're there. It feels like they're there.
Really?
Yeah, it's mind blowing.
Wow.
And actually, a good friend of mine is there. He saw the show tonight, and he messaged me and he said, "I've never seen anything like this."
Where's it playing at?
Because
In London, is it?
it's in London, but
Right.
I know they were in Australia recently, so I think
Really?
Australia is on the cards. Yeah,
Oh well,
I
I hope
mean,
so. Look, I'm just probably too cynical about it. When Michael Jackson died, and
mm,
they did a performance at an awards show, and
yeah,
don't get me
no,
wrong, I watched like I was
mm,
well. First of all, ethically, I thought I don't know if I want to watch this. I don't think he would have liked it, and then I was not sure if it would, and so I watched it on YouTube, and um, I think Beyonce was there in the audience, and
mm,
people were
mm,
crying. And look, to be honest with you, yeah, it was impressive, but clearly still like the technology wasn't there. You could clearly still
yeah.
tell it was
No, this technology is there. It is pretty. It's very breathtaking. Um,
wow, wow.
And their choice of songs is just brilliant. The opening song is The Visitors, which is one of my favorite ABBA songs ever. So that just got me. I don't know whether I was caught up in the emotion of that, but just
Mm.
the journey it takes you on. I'm not too happy with the ending of it, if I'm honest. I feel that the ending's quite flat.
They don't get sucked up into a spaceship into outer space or something, do they?
Not
How
quite,
does it
no.
end?
No. Well, because they do The Winner Takes It All, which is it's kind of a sad song.
Yeah, it's not a joyous
Um,
ending, is it?
no, it's not. And, I still have faith in you. So, like the newer song. So, I would have loved it to have been like Take a Chance on Me, Super Trooper. But no, it's a bit flat there. But otherwise, it's just
They're
joyous.
obviously
And,
going for that nostalgic, emotional ending rather than the
no
euphoric ending.
question,
Yeah,
no question.
yeah.
Um, and they get it. And, so I remember. So the day after my mum's funeral. So the way that life conspired. So mum and I had been the year before for my 40th to see ABBA, the museum in Stockholm. That was my 40th. And when my mum fell unwell, and I moved in with mum, and I was looking after her, and she was like, you need something to look forward to. And it's like, well, I'll book a trip to Stockholm. Um, but basically, the date was the day after my mum's funeral. And so I went to Stockholm still. I was just like, and then Kate Bush was the next week. It's like these things were meant to have happened. And I went to the museum, and I felt like my mum was there with me. There was
Oh,
just something about ABBA's music, their, I think just their history, their presence, their nostalgia. And it
mm,
was very healing. And I was so lucky because the day that I went to the museum, across the road is a place called Skansen, which is where they took the photograph for their album, The Visitors. And I was able to go in, and that was the last year they've ever let anybody go in to see that room.
Wow.
And it just felt like it was all meant to be. And several months after, and this is really weird, and my friends are still like, so my friends that come over, I sound like I'm babbling here, but my friends that come over to Ireland, we were to see Kylie's Kiss Me Once tour in Belfast and Dublin. And they came the night before we were to go to Dublin. And I got this thing in the post, and wasn't it two signed CDs from ABBA, completely signed, and one of them was the Visitors and one of them was the singles. Don't know who they came from, but it came from ABBA's offices in Stockholm. And it's just like somebody's looking out for me here, and somebody is taking care of me and knows how important music and ABBA, etc., are to me.
Mm.
And so they're framed in my bedroom, but I still have no idea to this day who
Wow.
organized that. Yeah,
But they're
it's
all
not
signed by who? All the
by
members?
including Agneta, who notoriously does not sign.
Is that the blonde one?
Yes,
Do you know, you'd know this because you're one of the few people who would. You know, she married her stalker?
the Dutch guy. Did she
It's an
marry him?
incredible story.
I think she dated him. I don't know if she married him, but I think it was very suspect, wasn't it?
Oh, and he was like, it's an amazing story.
Yeah,
Like
it's
he
quite.
was literally a stalker.
But who knows what the
I've
reason
just got it up because I need to. I watched a documentary on it. It was
really?
unbelievable.
Huh?
Like, but you're right. She didn't marry him. Agnetha did not marry her stalker. She dated
Yeah, yeah. He's
Gert
Dutch,
van der
wasn't
Graaf,
he?
a Dutchman whom she
Oh,
voluntarily entered into a 2-year relationship with due to his intensive courting of her. She had to seek police protection against him after she ended the relationship. It was this
isn't that
amazing.
wild?
It's wild. Like, because seriously, he was freaky stalker, not
Yeah.
normal stalker, and this
Uh,
intersection of his stalking and her mental health issues ended up with this very bizarre situation where they dated.
when I talk about all my stories, I feel very normal when I hear that.
What was that? Sorry.
When I dish my stories about my encounters, I feel very normal compared to that shit.
Do you know?
That's crazy.
He was a forklift driver, and I
Yeah.
listened back to your podcast recently for
Mm,
different reasons because we were trying to bring back a few bits and pieces. And
right.
I asked you directly. I didn't know you very well at all then, but I said, "Has any celebrity ever wanted? Are you a stalker?" I remember slapping my head, going, "Oh God, how dare I ask you that?"
But no, but
But
it's
it is a
true.
factor for you, though, isn't it? Because you turn up in all these places.
Oh, no, no question. And the thing is, I think, with Belinda Carlisle and Kylie, I'm just like, are you guys not on edge because I've met you that much? Because, even my inner monologue is, this can't be right, or this feels a little bit too excessive. And so certainly in recent years, I've definitely taken and with COVID, I've taken a massive step back because it can be too much. And I feel for artists who, if they have fans who are continually in their face, it can't be healthy. It can't be.
I'll just go back to this. I want to look up this Agnetha thing, right? So,
Yeah.
belatedly recognizing that Van der Graaf's fixation with her was an illness and that she had made a huge mistake in reciprocating his affections, Agnetha then tried to leave him, yet he refused to accept her rejection and began pursuing her again with renewed menace. He bombarded her with chilling letters with quotes like, "Shall we burn to death?" he wrote, comparing them to Romeo and Juliet, appearing
Wow.
suddenly at her kitchen window like a demented Jack Nicholson in The Shining and following her when she went out walking or shopping. She was so afraid that she went to police. Van der Graaf was convicted of harassing her, he was served with a restraining order and deported to Holland on 2 occasions in 2000 and 2003. This isn't way back. It's not that long
It's
ago.
not that long ago.
He
No.
repeatedly broke the court ruling, and long-term
Ouch.
friends tell me he still drives regularly to Sweden from his home near the Dutch-German border, a 1,000-mile journey that takes 15 hours. Jesus.
Well, that's not that long, really, in Europe. That's nothing for Europeans. It really isn't.
Has anyone ever said to you that you behave like a stalker? Has anyone ever offended
No,
you or said that to you?
no. And if they did, I'd want to have a conversation with them, and I'd like to understand why they would perceive it to be that way. Because I'm definitely not. And
But what were you saying before about recognizing your own obsession?
yeah, I think it's more because if you meet celebrities quite a lot, you can understand if they think, oh, they're quite frequent here. And so it's straddling that line. And certainly I think, in recent years, I've definitely, I can't even remember the last time I've even met a celebrity. It's 2015, 2016, because it
Well, you
doesn't
met Janet
interest me
earlier this
anymore.
year, didn't you?
Well, yeah, those were organized meet and greets. So I had that last year, of course. Thanks for reminding me of that, because I had literally, I blanked it from my mind. But
Can you
that was
believe
lovely.
Janet's latest tour, according to the statistics, which I call BS on, is her most successful tour ever? I just can't
I think
believe that.
revenue wise, it is, yeah,
Yeah,
because all
well,
the
that's maybe
shows
because she
sold
spent
out.
not much on it. I don't know. Like,
Well, it's a very cheap tour, and like so, she opened it again tonight in Hawaii, and it's the same costumes. The merchandise is terrible. It's the same from last year, so I'm kind of like, this is going to be cheap.
she's not at her peak either. Like I've seen, like don't
No,
please, don't shoot me, everybody. It's
no,
still
no, 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 no.
wonderful.
I completely get where you're coming
Like
from.
Janet at her peak, my God, the
No,
dancing, the
she was
killer choreography,
unstoppable.
she was precision, like a beautiful scalpel
Yeah,
of entertainment. And now, like she's like you go, much like the celebration tour, you go knowing that this is an older performer, and that's fine. But I still can't
it's
believe this is
heritage. Yeah.
like I don't know. It's got to be spin. What a crock that this is her most
No, I think
successful tour.
revenue wise, it was pretty big. Yeah, because it was like nearly 60 million. And I think All For You was like 70 million back in 2001.
Hmm.
So I think overall it has been her highest grossing.
Doesn't make any
And,
sense to me.
but concerts now, revenue from concerts now compared to 20 years ago is different.
Why?
Well, because artists don't earn money from music, so they have to, ticket prices are so. Janet this year is $2,000 a ticket.
Do you remember? I remember seeing Kylie's Enjoy Yourself tour and been horrified.
£12.50, which is like $30.
Yeah, right. Because, like you say, the money came from the CDs and the
Yeah,
cassettes and all that, not
yeah.
from the tour.
It's
In
it's
fact,
it's now
the
through
concert
touring.
was to promote the physical stuff, right? And I
Yeah.
know it's all changed, but my God, how much do you pay for a Madonna ticket now?
Well, I was in the pit, so it's the dance pits, each side of the stage, and they were $1,000 both nights.
1,000. What currency we're talking about?
US dollars, so it's what 3,000,
Oh,
two
get
and a half
out!
thousand
I'm a pauper,
Aussie
so that
dollars.
just makes me like, oh, golly, no
Yeah.
wonder they make so much off these tours.
And so last October we were front row in London, and that was £1,500. So it's like what three and a
Jesus.
half, 4,000 Aussie dollars.
However, do you know what's coming back to me, Steve? The biggest feedback I get from your first appearance on this show.
Right.
Sorry to
Go
laugh.
on.
I'm not trying to insult you. I'm really not. But it's funny
Insult
because of
away.
how many people just randomly I'll get an email every now and then from someone who must be listening to it for the first time. And
Uh-huh.
and the comment is always the same. That guy spent $250,000 on a fucking
Well,
chair.
it was $10,000, but that's another story.
Hang on.
But yeah, the
Oh no, no,
table
no,
was
no,
two
no.
hundred and
Sorry.
fifty thousand.
It was
That was canvas.
$250,000 for the table. Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah, so there was
that's
10 of us.
correct.
So six people paid 10,000, and
Remind
the other
people what we're talking
four.
about, Steve. What are we talking about?
So this was Madonna's Tears of a Clown charity event in Miami in 2016, December, at the
Sean
Fianna
Penn was
Forum.
there, Leonardo DiCaprio. They're all
DiCaprio,
there.
Paris Hilton,
You got our Steve sitting
the
in the middle,
works.
intimidated,
Yeah,
but you paid
so
250,000
fifty
for that
thousand
table.
dollars. So it was actually my friend Israel, who is Australian, lives in Perth. who contacted me and three other friends, and he was like, "Let's buy this table," because he knew we had the money um, to buy it. And then, so we sold the other 6 seats to other people. I actually bought one for a friend who's my best friend in the world, and I saw Madonna with her last week in San Francisco. Um, but yeah, so we were like, this is never going to happen again. And initially, we were rejected when we bought it because
Why?
Guy O'Siri was like, this is not a fan event, this is charity. And so Israel, our friend, had to jump through hoops he didn't even tell us to convince Guy that actually we weren't psychotic fans. We genuinely love Madonna, and we would love to contribute to the charity. And because obviously I paid for the chair, but I also bought something at the event too.
Yeah,
So I,
I remember that story you
I,
told where
I paid it. I mean that night cost me a lot of money.
I remember you saying you woke up, because this is the part that
Well, my
stood out to me
sister,
was you bought one of the Rebel Heart chairs that was on
yes.
stage
Hmm.
via an auction, but the part that stood out to me was how quickly the ATM or
Oh,
the
the money
card
was out the
machine
next
came to
day.
you. Yeah, they were over to
Isn't
you
that the
within
truth?
seconds. Tap your card.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
literally from Madonna giving me the kiss and saying, take the chair, to get a tap on the shoulder, who was like the sexiest man in the world. He was like, I need your credit card details. I
A
mean,
sexy credit card man.
he was lovely. He was really nice.
Oh, I bet he was, Steve. I bet
He
he
was. So
was.
I
He
was
was
happy
asking
to
you
give
for
him my details.
$10,000.
Yeah. So it all worked. It all worked out nicely.
For that price, you should have got to take him home as well.
Believe me, if I had less self-respect, I would have. There's no question. No, actually, he was genuinely lovely. But no, the next morning, whenever and I saw the chair in the room. So Trina, my friend, who I saw Madonna with last week in San Francisco, she was with me. We were sharing a room, and the chair was there because I got so horribly drunk. I mean, I was really drunk at that event. I mean, after I bought that chair, I was just like, oh, Stephen, get your money's worth here. And I just drank and drank and drank. I don't remember leaving the venue. I don't remember bringing the chair
Mm,
or anything.
that's a good night, man.
It was
That's
a
a good night.
really, well, I got my money's worth. And there were these programs, and I think I brought like 50 of them home because, all these rich people, they left the programs behind, but they're eBayable. And I was selling them for like $300.
Get out, really?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I made my money back.
Hang on. You had about 50 at 300 a pop. Help me with the maths
Yeah.
here. How much you make?
$300. Yeah. I'm down to my last one, which is on eBay at the moment. But yeah,
Hey Siri,
because
what's 50 times 300?
a lot of money.
It's 15,000.
$15,000?
Yeah. It still didn't pay for it all, but it paid
Well, it
for
paid
part
for
of
the
it.
chair in a bit, didn't it?
It paid for at least 2 legs of it.
Oh,
But you
man.
gotta do these things. And
Actually,
here,
you've just given me a whole new idea, man. Seriously.
there
Well,
you
first of all,
go.
if I can overcome the hurdle of getting within the vicinity of a celebrity, when I am, hey Leo, look over there, and take his half-eaten pasty or something like that. And this is the way to cover the cost of doing this celebrity thing, taking
Well,
bits of old used
that's the
celebrity.
thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes amateurs know best, and a lack of professionalism is all you'll hear on the Time to Talk show. Join Tim and his panel of guests as they wade their way through a range of news, music, and pop culture treats. Time to Talk, the show hosted by amateurs for unprofessional listeners.
Leonardo DiCaprio was not friendly that night at all. He was
Oh, he's
horrible.
never friendly. Did you see the
He
look he
was
gave
horrible.
Gaga when she walked past? I love
I
that.
know. I think that was the most disrespectful thing ever. And I was just like, oh,
It was
was me and my friend
such a giveaway
Jenny.
because there's so much in that look. There's so much. It was like less
No
than 1
question.
second, but you can tell so much about Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio and his view
A
on
bit of
women.
personality. I couldn't
Yeah,
agree
yeah,
more. I
yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
agree more. So but conversely, there were other people there, like Paris Hilton could not have been nicer.
Oh,
Chris
she's
Rock.
so dense, though,
Chris
isn't
Rock
she?
was so
Poor dear.
lovely. Courtney Love was lovely. So James Corden was exceptionally nice. I know he gets a bad rap in the media.
He must have
So
had a good feed.
well, he must have. He was the master of ceremonies, so he had to be in his best behavior. But actually,
That doesn't stop him. We
uh,
saw that with, was it Ben Kingsley? He was the
yeah.
master of ceremonies there, wasn't he? But anyway, yeah, he's an awful man.
But
Sorry.
here we had a tremendous night, and so it was lovely. And I met because then I came home, and 2 days later I met Kylie, and I met Cher a few days before. So it was like the gayest week in life. It
Was Cher
really.
and Kylie in the same, was that at the Sydney Mardi Gras maybe or something like
No,
that?
I met Cher. So Cher was in New York. Um, it was 3 weeks before for Hillary Clinton for to promote her for president in
Cher was promoting
2016.
Hillary Clinton?
Yeah, and it was $1,000, and it was a meet and greet. You could get anything signed,
Mm.
the works. So I flew over and I met her, and then 2 days later, so I literally got my chair back from Miami, excuse me, that morning, and I flew to London, and I saw Kylie, and I met her in her pop up shop before her Kylie Christmas show.
Oh, at the
So
Albert Hall.
yeah, it was a fantastic month.
My God, your life
I
is
it
even more
was
interesting than half the celebrities we're talking about.
no, it was super nice, and Sean, um, her tour manager, he was really nice. So he kind of facilitated it, um, but yeah, he made it happen, and it was very, very. He
He's
was
very
very
protective
nice.
of Kylie. Like
He
you've
loves
obviously
Kylie.
passed the Sean test, but
Mm.
Charlie Schlatter, who was in the Delinquents with Kylie, told me a
Yes.
story about Sean hanging up in his ear. Basically, Charlie made it through to, like, after much ado, finally got a number, got through
Hmm.
to Sean, Kylie's manager,
Yeah.
um, and Sean apparently very gruffly said, "Who are you?" And Charlie said, "Oh, I was in a film." And apparently Sean said, "What film?" And then Charlie said,
Oh my
"The Delinquents,
goodness.
the first film Kylie was ever in." And apparently, sorry, funny and amusing all of a sudden. It wasn't amusing when Charlie told it. Sorry, Charlie, if you're listening. And apparently Sean went, "Never heard of it," and hung up the
Oh my
phone.
goodness. No, you're lying. Oh my goodness. That
Never
I
heard of
mean,
it.
that's like Street Fighter. It's like
Do your history
legendary.
books, Kim. Do your history books.
Exactly. I was going to say that. I was literally going to say history books.
It's only the first film of her career.
That
So
is.
poor old Charlie, he never, because he was trying to raise money for cancer awareness because he had his own
Oh,
cancer experience. So he was trying to get
bless
Kylie
him.
along to some sort of auction event and or give something to the auction or whatever, however she could help. But yeah, he never made it through, and he asked me to pass on a message. Poor Charlie, little did he know I'm the furthest away from that
Ooh,
camp. But yeah,
Sean
he said if you,
Fitzpatrick, you're a hard man.
yeah, that's it. However,
Uh,
if you flip the story around, if you're a good celebrity manager, you are going to be a gatekeeper. You have to be a gatekeeper
well,
because
you
otherwise
have to
these
be.
people would be inundated, wouldn't they?
There's no question. Look, I remember. So I remember back in the late 90s, I was at an event with my friend Ashley, who was working for Capital Radio. He was just up and coming. But it was an event at the Royal Albert Hall, and Kylie comes and talks to us because she's
Oh,
trying
come
to
off
work
it,
the.
Steve. I'm sorry, you're such a lovely guy. But why? You didn't even make an effort, and now you've still got celebrities walking up to you. How does this happen? That's
But she
crazy.
was she was nobody. Nobody would look at her back then.
What
But
year
she
are you
was trying
talking
to
about?
work us. This was 97.
Of course, people
This
were
was
looking
even
at her back
before.
then.
It was even before. It was before Impossible Princess. So it was kind of like wilderness.
Yeah, a little bit.
Um,
She's still like an
wilderness.
icon. But
Well,
yeah, fair enough.
for us, because we couldn't bloody talk. We were like,
Why did she walk up to you? You're making me angry now. Why would Kylie walk up to you at the Albert Hall? What
Because
did she
she had
say?
nobody to work for her. She was working herself.
All
That
right.
was the thing. So this is how far her career went from being the big business to the mid 90s to nothing, which was this, to now. But and Ashley and I, it was like something from you would see from like a movie. We were just like starstruck. We were like, this is Kylie Minogue and she's talking to us. And we were like, we are nobodies. Ashley was like, oh, yeah, I'm a programmer for Capital Radio. And she was like, you could see the disappointment in her face because she was trying to find people to promote her or to do work for her. And it's just amazing how people's careers can change. And sadly, Ashley, he died in 2009, a couple of years after. Um, but it was always one of his favorite stories.
I can't blame him. Like
I
Kylie
know.
around the Royal Albert Hall walks up,
Yep.
is looking for what representation or something by the sound of it,
More, yeah, I would say so. She was looking for people in the industry who
and
would
she's all on her own,
all on her own.
and you're standing with him, and she comes up,
Hmm.
and what does she say?
Hi, my name's Kylie Minogue. Isn't that the most? It. I know it. When you say it out loud, but that is completely. And if Kylie is listening to this, I would love for her to swoop in and go, "Yeah, that's how it was back then."
Mm, yeah, and then she looks disappointed when he's just a programmer,
Completely, it's just like I'm just a programmer for Capital Radio.
and Kylie sort of goes, "Hmm."
And more or less swans off again. So,
"Oh my lord!"
you didn't have smartphones back then, so you didn't do selfies and
Yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff. But it was just like,
Do you remember what she was she with the short cropped hair around that stage?
no, it was kind of longish, but it was dyed. I remember it was dyed. It was like a reddish dye.
Yeah, well, around she often sported it. She was going out with the photographer, the French photographer, Stefan, I
Stefan
think.
Sednaway, yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
But then I
Okay.
met her a year and a half later in Paris, and she was completely different.
In what way?
And just in terms of her confidence.
Right.
And then a week later, she was presenting at the Brits, and I was like, "Mom, I met her a week ago." It was so bizarre. Yeah.
Wow.
So they're nice memories, but they're memories you don't commit to because you don't have photographic evidence of it, so you forget about
Mm.
it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
but that was one of Ashley's favourite stories. I can't blame him.
Oh, look, Ashley. I mean, Ashley. He was like, I he was like a fish, just like the mouth just pouted, and he was just like, "What's going on here?" He couldn't believe because Kylie was his favorite person in the world.
Oh, that's like a dream. I mean,
Yeah,
it
it
really
was a
is. That's like
dream.
something you wake up and go, oh, because I've had plenty of dreams where Kylie has propositioned me in various ways, I can tell you, to be her business partner and to be her sexual partner, to be
Mm,
partners in anything, really. I've had all of
yeah.
the dreams. So what you just described sounds like a dream. Hey, Steve, you were going to tell
He
us
was.
about meeting Janet recently too.
Oh, so yeah, so Janet, yeah, I did 5 meet and greets last year. I saw her. She did 2 shows at Madison Square Garden, which were sold out, which were amazing, and then 3 shows in Texas, or yeah, in Texas. So I saw her in Houston and Austin and somewhere else. I can't even remember, but 3 shows in Texas. But my first show in Texas, which was sorry, Dallas, it was Dallas. It was my 70th Janet show. So I said to Janet, tonight's my 70th concert seeing you. And it turned into a bit of, a nice event where things were stopped and she was getting all her crew around and saying, this is Steve, he's from Belfast. But this is his 70th show, and he wants to make it to 100. And she was just laughing, and it was so, so sweet. But the next two nights, she just stopped things and was like, it's Steve again. And it was just very, very nice. It was like to say, I know that he's a fan and that he's been loyal throughout the years. And it was lovely.
What is it about you, Steve, do you think, that the celebrities see in you? Because they clearly don't see you as a threat, which sounds a bit ridiculous to us mere mortals. But when
Mhm.
you're a celebrity, I think you'd probably be scanning for threat. Um, I really do. I think you'd be doing that because I can't imagine a world
Mhm.
where, like, I get overwhelmed in a supermarket with so many people around, yet alone all these
Right.
people
Me
focused on me.
too. Me too. I
Yeah.
agree with you.
So what qualities do you have that these celebrities sort of warm to? Because they clearly do. They have a great affection for you, a lot of them.
I genuinely don't know. I really don't know. I just talk to them. And my ex, he said to me, because the first time I met Kylie when he was with me, she was signing her perfume at Harrods in 2007, and I was the first person to meet her, and he was behind me, and he said, "Look, you just like you may as well have put your leg up on the table. You were just chatting away." I just I just talk to them like they're normal people,
Hmm.
and
So you don't go in there with a rehearsed first opening line.
absolutely no, gosh, no. I don't think I do anyway. I mean, obviously, if you know you're going to meet an artist, you've got some things in your Rolodex that you're going to say, but no, by and large, it's just more, how's it going? Thanks for doing this, and just having a conversation. I think
So it's really
for
important not
me,
to fawn, like fall over yourself. Like
no, gosh, no.
you can't do that because I often imagine what would happen. I often have to imagine what it would be like if because I still hold on that I'll meet Kylie one
Hmm.
day,
I
and
hope you do.
I hope I do too. But I really do think, despite being quite a composed person, a considered person, a thoughtful person, if
You
I
come
was,
across that way.
but if I still think, despite all of that, if I was with her, I think I'd cry. I think I
Well,
would cry. I don't know what I'd
so
say. I don't know what I'd do. Oh God.
it's hard to know. So it was lovely in 2018, and only my friend Margaret was waiting behind because Kylie said to me, I know you, you're Steve, aren't you? And
Kylie
I've
said
met you
that to you?
before. Yeah. And
She probably
I was like,
remembered you because you were the disappointing non-manager man from the Albert Hall.
there was probably a whole list of reasons. But it's like, how do you know that? And only because Margaret was behind and she heard it, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have believed that it had happened. And I said, look, I hope this is for the right reasons. And she didn't respond. And I brought her some gifts from Northern Ireland,
You brought Kylie some
which I gave
gifts.
to her. I can't even remember. I bought them from like artisan stores here. So I think it was like, I honestly can't remember. I know that there was like, a local coffee and different
Wow.
stuff, but I was just like, here, this is from Northern Ireland, where I'm from, blah, blah, blah. Um, but that was really nice because there was that recognition. But I don't, and so the other evening, Bananarama were doing a signing in London of their new
Oh,
greatest hits.
I've got to
And I
say,
was,
Steve, sorry to interrupt, but I've seen so many people post their photos with Bananarama at that
Mhm.
signing. In not one photo, either one of those women smiling. They look so not happy to be there.
No,
Like,
because
smile, ladies.
they're doing their job. But I was meant to have been there, but unfortunately I couldn't go. But
Right.
my friend went and he talked about me and they're like, we know who Steve is.
Bananarama
And
did.
yeah, because well, it's back when they did their tour with Siobhan in 2017. I chastised them. they had done Trick of the Night in Belfast, and they removed it in Scotland,
Oh,
which was their next shows. And I chastised them. They brought it back in Newcastle, and so
how
they've
did
a
you chastise
live.
them to their face or on
Yeah,
social
I was
media?
just like, bring this back. Seriously, ladies, this is one of your best songs. Don't do this. So in Newcastle, they did a live CD, and Sarah goes, "This one's for you, Steve." And they brought it back, and so they've remembered me since that. So on social media and stuff, they'll always, they'll come back with a reply or do X, Y, and Z. But the other night, because I couldn't go, I wound up in hospital on Wednesday. Um, my friend went and they were like, "We love Steve." And they signed the vinyl for me, "Get Well Soon" and stuff. But with all those, I'm not going to say difficult things because nothing has ever been difficult about meeting a celebrity. It's always been a joy. If it feels worthwhile.
Coming to you from the mountain fortress of pop culture. You're listening to Time to Talk.
We don't do crack. We don't do that. Your crack is whack.
It seems to me, Steve, like you managed to cut through the celebrity and get to the person pretty quickly, and that's
I hope
a
so.
skill. It sounds to me like it's a little wicked gift you have that you've never considered, and you don't need to work out what it is. You've just got it,
No.
whatever it is. I've got to say, it is lovely to talk to somebody who is as buoyed by pop culture as I am. It's such a nice thing.
Well, likewise. I mean, I think it's fantastic to talk to you too because I love
Yeah.
that you love pop culture as well.
People don't. I know a lot of
No.
people who just don't get it. They look at you very strangely and they sort of nod when you
That's
say.
right.
So I don't tell people, to be honest, because I'm sick of having to justify it. It's like, because I think there's this perception that you've got them up on this huge pedestal and you
Right.
idolize them, and part of it is absolutely that.
True.
But
Yeah, of course.
and when I was a teenager, that's where it started. It was actually that
Mm.
whole mania. But as life has gone on, it's actually, for me, it's taking lessons from these public figures. That's what I've found, and surprisingly, even to me, that's what I do now. I look to them. How are you
Yeah.
negotiating 50? How are you negotiating 60? How are you negotiating a waning career? How are you deciding when is the time to step back and enjoy life differently? So I'm looking to them for little leaflets. I don't follow them, to the T, but I just look at
Right.
someone like Madonna and go, what do you do when you've been at the pinnacle, you've achieved everything, and you've still got all those detractors? How do you deal with that? And I just have such respect for how they negotiate it, and they're trailblazers.
Well, they are trailblazers, but I think for me, what's even more special is I don't even know if more special is the right expression, but to be able to go and see these artists perform and the celebration tour. I I'm quite sarcastic about it. I'm like, it's not a celebration. It's like mediocre hits with Vogue and like a prayer thrown in. Because it's not her biggest hits. It's hits, but it's not. You need to have followed Madonna's career to appreciate the show.
I understand that, but at the same time, they went to some lengths to try to dispel this idea that it was a greatest hits. I think they said quite a few times, it's not greatest hits, it's a celebration.
It's a celebration,
Yeah,
completely. I
which,
mean, "Bad Girl," my favorite Madonna ballad ever.
yeah, yeah.
So to get that in concert, I mean, like the first night I bawled my eyes out. I had random Italians hugging me because so I was so upset.
Beside yourself. Yeah.
I was beside myself.
Does the same thing
Um,
happen to you when you're there watching a Kylie or a Madonna or whoever, right? Does the same thing happen to you that you just go down in your mind this time warp of all the
yep.
occasions? Because when I watch Kylie, like I'm literally looking at her on the stage, and in my head, I'm thinking, "Wow, you were on the go," which was her first concert documentary, and
That's right.
just a
Yeah.
little girl who didn't she was just flying by instinct, didn't know anything of what she was doing, and it was the first
Yeah.
time people had heard her live as well, and her voice did sound very different from that. So I'm looking at them on the stage and remembering all the
Right.
times in my life and in their life. So does that happen to you?
Completely.
Yeah.
It's like a vortex of
Yeah.
it's everything, you know. I mean, I remember, so I saw the Enjoy Yourself show in Belfast and then Let's Get to It in Dublin. And Dublin was very well filmed because that was released as the live
Were you
video.
at the one that was actually released? Were you? I love
Yeah,
that. She
you
doesn't love it,
see,
by the way, but I love it.
no, you actually see me in the audience, but I mean that venue was a third full, so it was very cleverly filmed. Um, and I remember leaving that and getting the bus back to Belfast and going, I'll never see Kylie Minogue in concert again because I thought that was the end of her career.
Did you? Did you think the
Oh,
concert was that
completely.
bad?
No, because it was that empty.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
seriously, it was so well filmed. And even my sister, who was with me, she was like, "Yeah, that was not good." And I love the Let's Get to It album, so
I thought
I'm.
that tour was amazing because
It was
obviously
amazing.
the Rhythm of Love tour became the Let's Get to It tour. They sort of
Yes, in
segued,
Europe.
but
Yeah.
don't forget for casual listeners, if you're not well versed in your Kylie history, this was the moment that she came on stage, and with the costumes shocked
People thought she was
everybody.
Madonna. Yeah.
Yeah, she looked very because Blonde Ambition had just been and gone, and
It was the
she
year
did.
before, yeah.
The I Should Be So Lucky costume and Love Train costume were definitely straight from the Keep It Together type
Oh,
of
no
style.
question. Yeah. I
Yeah.
love Love Train.
I mean, she was working with the same designers for a start, but it was not only the costume, it was her hair, it was her attitude.
Everything,
She
yeah.
was like, before that, she'd been swinging around and hey, and running from left to right. But no, this was much more, professional, slick.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jazzy. So you were there for when Jazzy P came out
When
too.
Jazzy P came out
I
and did the
love Jazzy
extended
P.
rap, yeah.
Isn't she great?
The
Do you know
full
she only got
works.
paid £500 for that?
It doesn't surprise me.
£500, and she says her manager did the dirty on her because took all her money. That's a slightly different story. But on the shocked rap, she got paid. And you go back,
Mhm.
guys, listen to the podcast. I've spoken to Jazzy P. She got paid £500, no
Scandalous.
royalties, just a one-off payment. And
Mhm.
so, because I asked her when Kylie goes around the world and sings "Shocked" and does that rap, you must get a little check in the mail every time. No, that was all signed out of the contract. Amazing.
Mhm. Yeah. It's scary the way the music biz was back then,
Mm.
or that it still is.
Probably still is. Who knows?
Yeah.
All I know is
But
if it's a hard position though. If Kylie came to me and said, "Look, can you write a little verse for a song?"
well,
and I wrote, well, I'd
it's
sign
not
anything.
Kylie though, it's her management and it's Jazzy P's management,
I don't like to
know
let stars off as easy as you, though, Steve.
well,
Like they must know this stuff. Like when
no,
the I
they
was going to
don't.
cancel video
They're
was done.
pampered.
Well,
Stars are pampered.
you're telling me that when Kylie did the video for I Was Going to Cancel, she didn't know that the dancers were getting paid nothing?
Nothing.
She must have
No,
known that.
no,
She
I don't
must have
think
known.
she did. I don't think that's how pampered these celebs are.
Mm,
And look, you're absolutely right. We shouldn't let them off, but I'm kind of like, I understand why, because they
they're
don't know, they
removed,
don't
is what
care.
you're saying.
They have management for that. I mean,
Yeah,
they
okay.
just have to turn up.
Again, this is the world of celebrity that I still don't get because you're probably right. In my world, I have to be across absolutely everything that happens relating to me because that's what the ordinary
Right.
mortal does. But I
It's your
suppose you're right.
world.
Celebrity, well, I still find it hard to believe, but maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it is. And, maybe someday I'll have that luxury where I'm oblivious to that all. But
Well, that's when you and I go into a nursing home. I assume it's the
yeah,
same feeling. That's as close to
well,
celebrity as we'll feel when there's people telling us when to drink tea and
I'm in
biscuits.
my 50s now. So, yes, I'm not too far away from from that, for sure.
Do you know what I
But
found interesting recently is when Madonna, because it was only speculation that she had a hip replacement, but she said it on stage, maybe at one of the shows you were at. She actually said that she'd had a titanium hip. So I
that's
looked
right.
this up, and apparently, mere mortals like you and I, if we broke a hip, you get a standard replacement. Titanium is like the Rolls Royce. It lasts much longer. It's got lots of extra benefits and all of this sort of stuff. So I thought, wow, I'm just so fascinated with celebrity. If you even
Oh,
when it comes to your health, you get a gold standard.
oh yeah, she's something else.
Before we head off into the sunset, Steve, the collaboration between Kylie and Madonna, which we're just going to say it's happening, right?
Oh,
Nothing confirmed.
yeah.
What should it be? Because I thought I Will Survive. If someone had told me that before
Well,
we saw what we
so
saw, I would have went, yeah, that's a bit cliched. Now that I've
Madonna
seen
performed
it,
that, you see, in London.
oh,
So
many
in
times. Yeah,
the
yeah.
opening show, she did "I Will Survive." So, and I'd forgotten about it. So in San Francisco, when I saw it last week, I didn't even have it in my mind. So when it came back, so I think if they were to do a collab, it needs to be something brand new.
You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it
what I thought
needs to
all
be
along
a new
until I saw
song.
that. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe the B
Yeah.
side can be I Will Survive.
Well, absolutely. I think that would be a fantastic, you know, I don't even know the right words, but obviously Kylie has collaborated with Gloria Gaynor too. So
Yes.
on her disco extension or whatever the heck it was called.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't stop writing love songs.
that's it. It was such a great song too. It was
It
better than
was a
a
good
Jessie
song.
Ware song.
The video was hideous. I liked the Jessie Ware song.
No, I didn't at all. I thought it was
Mm.
just dreadful.
Did you like the video?
No, I thought the video was dreadful. I thought
Yeah.
everything about it was just forced and
There's two camps with the video because it's a camp. That's
camp
a
indeed.
yeah, exactly. That was a not deliberate to choose that word, but there's two camps. There's people who love that video and people who go, "Wow, that's just
Yeah,
embarrassing."
no.
Like, because I showed it to a couple of friends, and there was one friend who thought, "Oh, that's fun," and there was another friend who went, "What the hell was that?" That I just
Mhm.
like. It's so yeah. Is it embarrassing or
It
not?
was like
I give it
Jerry
a
the Beetle hand.
5-star rating or whatever it was. What was
Mm.
that? Sorry,
Oh, you probably wouldn't know it. We had a TV celebrity called Jeremy Beadle who had like a,
he had a little hand.
yeah. Oh, so you know who he is?
Yeah,
And
that
that's
show
what I thought
unfortunately
of.
made it here. Tragic comedy.
But completely. I just thought it was a dreadful song.
All right, so you're
She's
saying
phenomenal.
you're voting for a brand new song for Kylie and Madonna. Brand
That's
new.
what I would love. Yeah. Can't stop writing love songs. Write a new song.
It can't be an
Mm.
ordinary song though, Steve. If they
No.
collaborate, this has got
And
to
I
be
think that's the
phenomenal.
problem. I think it's like Mariah and Whitney. You're going to be let down by it no matter what it is.
Yeah, that was boring, wasn't it? That was some sort of
It was
film song,
dreadful.
wasn't it? What We Believe, was it called?
When you believe,
When You
yeah.
Believe? Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just
They performed it
dreadful.
on Oprah together.
Yeah, they forced themselves a lot
Yeah.
on that,
Well,
and it was just not good. And I feel the same with Madonna and Kylie. So maybe it's best they don't do anything. Maybe that is just
no.
the moment we're meant to have.
No.
But
No. I want
believe
more.
but believe me, it filled my heart.
Yeah.
And that sounds very cheesy saying that, but I was just so overwhelmed. And watching Kylie dance after,
Oh,
there's video
yes.
footage of her dancing. I'm
Yes.
just like, this is Queens supporting Queens. So the wall behind my bed is just framed pictures of Kylie and Madonna.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like White Diamond, the cinema poster, Madonna's Rebel Heart, her ecstatic process.
But Steve, when you
And
bring over a special friend, doesn't that put them off a bit?
I've never had a special friend in this house, so It's all
It's
good.
such a special room. No one's allowed in there.
Only my cat. But my friend pointed out to me. She was like, "So you've got Madonna and Kylie above your bed, and I have Kate Bush in my room, and Gloria Stefan and Janet on other
Mm.
walls, and ABBA and Roxette. But behind me, that wall is just Kylie and Madonna, and I'm like, that just says it all.
So, Steve, before you go, what's the plan with the kitchen? What's the plan with the kitchen? Like, are you going to get it
Well,
fixed, repaired? Like, how long have you got to
I
sit
think
in
I'm
that
going to get a new
cavernous kitchen?
kitchen. I think it's calling out for
Don't get gas this time. Get electric.
no.
I don't
It's
think. I don't
definitely
think
going
you
to
can
be
be
an electric
trusted.
hob.
Yeah.
There's no question, but I've got gas heating for the rest of the house, so
Mm.
I need to think about it. But my kitchen right now, it's a grey and white. I'm thinking of doing like a rose or a mint
Ooh.
color. Yeah, something really radical and different.
Oh yes, do it. You could possibly get one of your celebrity friends to give you advice.
Should I get Kylie around, or do you know who has the best taste? Have you ever heard of Rina Sawayama?
No, I think I've ordered it
Oh,
from the Indian though.
she's phenomenal. She's Japanese British singer. She is absolutely amazing. But her home in London,
Mm.
it's just the splash of all these pinks and mints and colors.
How do
She's
you know what the inside of
maybe
her home looks like?
well, she's done interviews with
Oh right.
interiors. She's phenomenal. I can't believe you don't know who she is. Actually, you would definitely love her.
Really?
Look up This Hell or Shut the Fuck Up.
Shut. You can't swear on this show.
STFU. It's a really great song.
Really? But
She's
no, hang on a second. Mariah Carey had a song
Rena.
called "Shut the Fuck Up."
Oh, no, that was Get the Fuck Out. Kind of the same principle, I guess. Do you know what? That album, Caution, is my one of my favorite Mariah
I love it
albums.
too. Why do people hate that album so much?
I know.
And that
And then I
song
saw,
was a terrible because it was the lead single and it shouldn't have
yeah,
been.
it wasn't a great lead single.
But it's got this. I don't know if you've heard it. There's a particular. They overlay vocals. If you listen to
Yeah,
is it "Shut the Fuck Up" or "Get the Fuck Out"? I can't remember now. "Get the Fuck Out,"
Get
isn't
the
it?
fuck out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you listen to it, it's a very funny moment where she just goes, it's, it's,
Well,
it's,
that's all Mariah. But she signed my Glitter vinyl in Dublin on that tour.
she what, sorry?
She signed my Glitter, the album, the
Oh, yes.
Glitter soundtrack. I had the vinyl album. I gave it to her, and she signed it.
Oh, did she? Yes.
She did. So it was an internet moment for like 3 seconds.
Oh, was it?
Um,
Why?
yeah, well, because she loves glitter, so whenever
Oh,
she signs that album, it's kind of a moment.
Steve, we could talk all day about bloody
I could
celebrities,
talk to
couldn't
you all
we?
day. I'm having so much fun.
It is. It's awesome. If you come to Australia and you want to meet some sort of, I wouldn't even rate as a D grade celebrity. Let's say F, J, K, L, M,
I
N, O,
would
P.
be
I'm a
delighted to
P
meet
grade
you.
celebrity. You can take a selfie with me if you want, and people for the rest of your life can say, "Who the hell's that?"
Well, Tim, lesser things have happened. So, no, no, my friend Lisa she's asked me to come out this Christmas. So it depends on my cat.
Well, it sounds like you like Australia, so why can't you can't bring
Well,
your cat with
I
you?
would move there tomorrow. I would move there tomorrow. I mean, I had the best time working in Australia.
Yeah, yeah.
Sydney was just wonderful, and so my office was literally opposite Madonna's gym, the hard candy gym.
What, in Los Angeles?
No, in Sydney.
Madonna didn't have a gym in Sydney
She did in Sussex Street, yeah. It was the
because
hard
she opened all
candy.
those hard candy gyms.
Yeah,
I
so there
remember
was one
that.
there.
She didn't
So
open one in Australia,
yeah,
did she?
and I went and I stole all the postcards and they threw me out. Seriously, seriously, it's like I'm meeting my friend, but no, I lived on Kent Street, which was 2 streets up.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
just didn't
no,
know. Well, all right, if she did have a gym, which obviously I'm going
that
to
was in
believe you, but
2013, 12,
she
13.
mustn't have opened it. That she can't have been. There was no grand opening, that's for sure.
Probably, maybe not, but I've got the postcards. Believe me, I'll send you
Oh, I
some.
bet you do. I bet you.
I stole them. I took them all.
Oh, wow.
I was not shy about that.
Are you going to keep us updated about your kitchen? People will want to know now.
Oh my goodness!
Did he go with the mint? Did he go with the rose?
Kitchenwares, other rose.
Or did he return to
I think
the safe
rose is going
grey?
to be nicer. Yeah, I think rose will be nice.
It depends on the
Yeah.
rest of your house. That's the thing. I can't give you advice because I'd need to inspect everything. Something that will calm your cat too. Sandals, wasn't it? Shoehorn.
Slippers. She went off to bed when we started to talk. It's not like her.
That's a
She
good
must have
sign.
known I was in a safe space. No, my living room it's called it's something blue, shocking blue or something. It's
Shocking blue.
yeah, I can't remember
Well,
the.
don't go mint then. That doesn't sound like a good match.
My bedroom's charcoal, and then my top rooms are a blue and a matcha green. It's a Japanese green.
Jesus, every room of your house must be a different experience.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's nothing subtle about it. Excuse me. The only thing subtle is the whole stairs and landings all white.
Do you know what? In Ab Fab, Patsy says after the fire in their kitchen, she goes, "Why don't you leave it like this? Some people would take years to achieve this scorching."
That's me. That's me. I'm Pats. Yeah, I didn't let the firemen go. Seriously though, when the firemen were, the cats just come to
Slippers.
annoy me. That's Slippers. Say hello. Yes,
Hey,
there you
Slippers, are you
go.
crying?
Yeah, she's
Oh,
like, pay attention to me, man. Yeah, thank
don't
you.
boil some meat for her.
No, she's got plenty of food in her dish, so she just she just wants attention. But no, I like so when I had the two, I mean literally two fire trucks here, I was just like, Patsy Stone would love this.
Well, they found her, didn't they? In the kitchen, they found her charred, didn't they, from memory?
I know she woke up with a cigarette. I mean that was
Still
a
lit.
complete Patsy experience. But it's just like Patsy would love this, and I am not. I was standing outside and I thought these fire people aren't friendly, but actually, I'm like, they're doing their job. They're not here to be friends. But because I'm just one of these people. When I meet people, I want to connect with them. That's kind of my thing, and so ultimately, I'm disappointed if people don't connect or want to talk to me.
Yeah, it's interesting that it extends to even in an emergency situation. That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know. It's like sad Steve.
Not sad, Steve, at all. Happy, wonderful Steve. I've really
just
enjoyed
who
talking
I
to you,
am.
mate.
You too. It's always a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Don't make me sound like a weirdo now when you edit all this.